So, I have been on YouTube for more than a year now, and rather than making some weird joyous celebration video, I think it is time for me to do something else looking back on 1 year of videos on this channel. Which is go through each mistake I made, which my subscribers were kind enough to point out to me, or which I noticed myself. Actually, I only noticed one single mistake myself, and that mistake is the number 40,000. In some of my earliest videos, I pointed to the number 40,000 as the amount of terrorist attacks that have been carried out worldwide by Islamists. There is, however, one big problem with this number, which is that it's inaccurate. I got it from the site Religion of Peace, and when I looked into its sources some time later, I found that it lists things as Islamic honor killings in the West as terrorist attacks, which, let's put it bluntly, is inaccurate and false. Honor killings might be part of the negative consequences that our society endures due to mass Muslim immigration and the suppression of the debate on Islam and Islamic self-segregation. However, an honor killing is not a terrorist attack, and it is important to differentiate between these. I have consequently for a very long time tried to get an accurate number and representation. Those of you who followed me on Twitter before I was banned will remember how I downloaded, read through and tried to summarize terror statistics from the Global Terror Index to the Global Terror Database. However, these efforts turned out rather fruitless as well. The Global Terror Database, for example, lists a sheer enormous number of supposed terrorist attacks. However, amongst these terrorist incidents, you will find things like, for example, a Finnish drunkard who tried to throw a Molotov cocktail into a refugee center and only managed to hurt himself, and some supposed nail gun attack that took place in Cork Island in 2016, for which I have found no other reference. Looking through terror statistics, I couldn't get an exact number. That would be an undertaking that would take over a year probably, and would have to include more than one person working on that project. Next mistake, in the Culture is Not My Cause video. In it I use Switzerland as an example of how various different cultures can come together, unite, not by culture but by a set of values and a common commitment to liberty, to form and defend a free and democratic society. Whilst it is true that this is what Switzerland as a nation and people stand as being today, the one thing I didn't know and should have researched before making that video is that Switzerland didn't just peacefully come together to write and commit to their confederate constitution of many cultures. In fact, Switzerland went through many vicious, bloody civil wars between various different political groups who all had completely different visions of what the country should be and how it should be ruled. The Swiss nation had to spill a lot of blood to get where it is today, and didn't emerge out of some pristine, peaceful coming together until a lot of blood was spilt. Mistake number 3 occurred in the Butman Nazi memes video. In it I quote a passage from a historic revisionism book, in which it is claimed that Zyklon B was pretty much only used for delousing. When I read that, I imagined this to be like in prisons during the 1950s, when prisoners had to get naked and have white delousing powder thrown at them. In the end, however, it turns out you could use Zyklon B to delouse clothes, as long as the humans are not wearing them, since it would kill the humans. When this was pointed out to me by a subscriber, she also told me that it is still not very viable though, since it would require a lot of Zyklon B and would be very inefficient. So in the end, the idea that Zyklon B was merely used for delousing is still nothing but a pathetic grasping at straws for a revisionist idiot trying to explain away the Zyklon B. The last mistake I want to mention happened in one of my recent videos, where I claimed that in Kuwait, women face the same punishment as in Saudi Arabia if they don't wear the veil. Well, quite simply put, I was blatantly wrong there. When researching where Islamic dress codes were enforced around the world under the threat of punishment, I got my hands on a human rights report from Kuwait, which, however, was not about women, but trans women being arrested, abused, tortured and imprisoned as punishment for supposed un-Islamic behavior by dressing up as women. Still isn't any less barbaric. Now, I'm sure I have made many more mistakes, but these are the ones that were pointed out to me by my subscribers in the comments sections of my videos and on other social media platforms. And I believe that instead of just commenting back on that or adding notes to the videos, I should just make a separate video pointing out these mistakes myself. And I'll end this video by asking you to continue pointing it out to me when I get something really wrong, and at some point in time I'm probably, hopefully not though, going to make another video pointing out and explaining my mistakes again. Auf Wiedersehen.